Hey guys! Cycrafter here, and today I am back in the podcast once again. This time for Madoka Magica Rebellion. I just realized I have Blake in the background here. Give me a moment. Put Blake over here for now. I decided to dress up for today. Oh, this wig is heavy though. Oh, and it's warm as well because of how heavy it is. Is there any birthdays, anime character birthdays to take note of today? Let me check. The wig is very loose. No, not really. Like next weekend on the Sunday is Yuki Takeya's birthday from Gakugarashi, but that's a week from now. But I think I'll call out now since I won't be doing an episode next week. But as of right now, I need to get into Madoka Magica Rebellion, which is the first canon movie of the three across the movies, because the first two are recaps of the show with some extra scenes, but they're not really worth going through the entire show again just for a few scenes. So I've got 8 pages to get through today, so let's get right into it. As we start off with some narration from Homura, who talks about magical girls and the deals they take to obtain their miracles, resulting in a battle upon their souls. The only way to escape the battle was through oblivion and disappearing from their world. Homura mentions that that day will come, calling this order of magic and death the law of the cycle, and that they'll keep fighting. Through this irredeemable world, Homura had a dream about encountering a familiar smile. Something magical stretches over Mitakihara City, turning off the lights and transforming the setting into a pastel cinema with ballerinas and a being set on destroying buildings. Madoka appears as part of the ballerinas and fires her bow into the air, raining arrows over everything in an arrow burst. Sayaka and Kyoko join the fight, with moves matching the elegance of the music in the scene. The being escapes into a secret room through many doors, with Madoka, Sayaka, and Kyoko appearing to feed it food, which the being accepts without issue. Mami also joins this absolutely weird tea party, spawning a small being that makes the other plushie being freak out as it explodes into fire. Madoka wakes up, annoyed that it's morning already, saying good morning to Kyubi, who, Kyubi does not get much in this movie until the very end. She says good morning to her dad, who is tending to the tomato garden outside, and asks if Mum is up yet. Her dad answers that Tetsuya went to wake Mum, telling Madoka to give him a hand. She isn't responding to Tetsuya's pounding on her door, but definitely can't ignore Madoka ripping the curtains pounding on it. but Madoka, like, she can't ignore Madoka ripping over the curtains and pulling the sheets off her just to flood her with light. Over cleaning teeth, Madoka tells her mum about how Hitomi and Kosuke's schedules never line up. They always have something going on that messes up their times. Her teacher, Kazuko, has started talking about the end of the world in the classroom, making her mum think of setting her up on a blind date. Turns out, Madoka's mum knows that Kazuka has always had really high standards for men. Madoka buries the lead on the fact that her class is getting a new student today, and she hopes she can be friends with them. Which is quite a thing to bury the lead on. Sayaka asks if Madoka got her sleep last night, and she's worried about being called on about the reading she didn't do for today. With Kyoko being confident in not completing her homework. She's that lazy. Kyoko wishes to copy off Madoka's homework because Sayaka said no, calling her out for sneaking off to do her homework early while Kyoko watched TV. Kyoko is annoyed that they both have magical girl stuff and homework to do, leaving no room for fun. Kazuko's mention of the Mayan calendar ending indicates that this movie starts on the night of December 21st, 2012, which is weird because the original show was set 2010, I think it was, or by my research. She goes on to say that even though the Mayan calendar has ended, solar or lunar eclipses will occur on high holy days for certain religions 6 times. According to her, that means the world will experience something in 2050, with 41% of the country believing it's the second coming of Christ. Kazuko ends her rant by saying that the end of the world wouldn't be a bad thing because of how close to 40 she is. It's like, ma'am, you're gonna be like, you're gonna be in your 80s by 2050 if timeline is correct. Kazuko remembers that she has a transfer student to introduce, with it being Homura, meaning it must be another time loop that we're in. Homura has a heart condition, so Kazuko requests they help her settle into class, while Homura reveals to Madoka, Sayaka, and Kyoko that she's a magical girl too. She's like just holding up her hand, I think it was. After class, Mai reveals she already knew Homura is a magical girl. Just wanted to surprise them. It's like, that is one hell of a surprise if you want to give him a heart attack in the middle of class, but okay. Homura was also helping out last night, even though it was a supportive role. Sayaka is glad to have Homura around to deal with the monsters known as nightmares, which is different from the anime because they were dealing with witches. I don't know if that was at the end of... I think it was the ending of the show as well that they became nightmares. Homura introduces herself again, and Madoka takes her hands, wanting to do their best together. Before long, a month has already passed by, and Homura feels like she's known Madoka forever, while feeling like the month has flown by. It's like, yeah, considering what we find out later, that is a good sense. Madoka wishes for the nightmares to stay away tonight so everyone can get a good sleep. They both share the same feeling of wanting to talk to each other for a long time. Meanwhile, Hitomi looks at her calendar and calls Kosuke to ask if he has any plans for Sunday. Unfortunately for her, he has to take violin lessons on Sundays as well as preparation for his next recital, apologizing that their schedules never line up. Even though she's happy for Kosuke's effort in his music, Hitomi wishes he put some effort into their relationship. Oh my gosh. Her annoyance at his lack of effort summons forth a nightmare. Mami prepares for bed, asking her small friend Bebe for the hairpin it has, when Bebe starts shouting about the appearance of a nightmare. Sayaka and Kyoko arrive to fight the nightmare, whom they recognize as Hitomi's nightmare. Talking about Hitomi and Kyosuke dating. Hitomi's nightmare attacks them, causing them to have to flee, joining Mami on top of a train, just as Madoka and Homura arrive too. All the girls transform into magical girl forms, each of the transformations stylized to themselves, with some actually dark visuals mixed in, and announcing their group as the Puella Magi Holy Quintet. So I'm gonna take this moment right here to be go watch this movie. This movie is visually insane, and actually is not that, but it's not bad. It's just a lot of visuals. You gotta prepare your eyes for it. Hitomi's nightmare pulls a violin from its mouth and smacks the ground with it, causing the surrounding area to ripple and explode. Homura uses her time stop ability while attached to Mami and Madoka through ribbons to allow them to create a devastating tiro duet attack together. Releasing the time stop, the building Hitomi's nightmare explodes is pulled back together. 'Cause magic. Along with restoring everything else its attack destroyed and hitting it as well. So basically it was like a reversal attack. Sayaka and Kyoko combined their 5 Lillians and latticework barrier attacks to chase down and trap Hitomi's nightmare. With it not moving, each of the girls each land on one of Sayaka's sword, the setting transforming into a table with a game of Who's the Cake played with Bebe to feed Hitomi's nightmare to death. Hitomi's nightmare is transformed into a cake for Bebe to eat before being squished out of Bebe by Sayaka, transforming again into Hitomi's head and a drawing of a violin. What? Throwing the violin drawing into the air, it comes alive and starts playing, with Kosuke being the one to play it. Hitomi's head floats up to join him. The performance revitalizing the gems of the Puella Magi Holy Quintet and removing the nightmare's realm. Oh my gosh, the wig is just slipping so constantly. Homura and Madoka celebrate their victory, with Sayaka saying it was a piece of cake, but Mami warns them not to get overconfident. Mami mentions they had some close calls, but Kyoko won't listen to her lecture unless there's tea and cake. She invites them back to her place as the sun rises, and on the way back, Mami mentions she has enough left for one pot of chamomile tea, as well as having opened a can of echinacea tea. I don't know how to pronounce that. Kyoko says she doesn't like Mami's sour treats, at which Sayaka teases her taste for being like a little kid's. Bebe wants mascarpone cheese as her reward for helping out. Madoka notices that Homura is being quiet and asks her what's up, only to get the answer that there's nothing wrong. In truth, Homura is thinking if their battles have always been the way they are now. At class, everyone's faces are messed up and moving weirdly. It's like it looks like a piece of ham is on everyone's face. Honestly. Except for those important to the story. During lunch, Kyoko steals a part of Sayaka's lunch that looks like a soul gem and pretends to eat it, only for Kyubi to eat it from her hand. Madoka offers Homura a piece of fried chicken, distracting her from her observations of the world's messed up faces. While a non-human hand operates a crank for kids watching, so it's like this. A balloon breaks free and floats over Homura and Kyoko's conversation. Homura asks if Kyoko has noticed anything odd lately, but Kyoko is clueless, and Homura finds her the most odd from the Kyoko she remembers. Asking Kyoko questions about her, she states she's crashing at Sayaka's place and struggles a bit to answer how long she's been going to Mitakihara Junior High. Seems a bit interesting that we're basically dealing in memory loss right now. Answering more questions from Homura, Kyoko says she's from Kazamino and came over to help when she learned from Mari that Mitakihara was having it rough. She also hasn't been back to Kazamino because she doesn't have a reason to, when Homura asks her to come to Kazamino City with her. Kyoko doesn't detect any suspicious behavior from Homura, deciding to take her to a ramen joint in Kazamino for dinner. Later, the two take the bus to Kazamino on the craziest bridge layout ever. Like, if you've seen, like, roadwork design in, like, America, it's crazier than that. Or here in Australia, there's some areas that have, like Brisbane, that have, like, roads over roads over roads. That matches what this sort of area is. And there's a stop in a red windmill field, which is nowhere in, like, this sort of area would not even be in Japan, because this is supposed to be set in Japan. Kyoko says that the next stop will be in Kazamino City, but instead it's back in Mitakihara City, 3rd Street, when the bus turns right instead of left. Even the bus they were on changes from 15 Kazamino Station North entrance to 31 Mitakihara Loop Line. Leaving Homura confused as to if they got on the wrong bus. Oh my gosh. Okay. Bus 15 shows up again and allows them to board, only for the bus to go towards Mitakihara City's 2nd Street. Kyoko jumps down onto the hood of the bus to yell at the bus driver, but Homura calms her down and the bus changes to bus 31 again. With both bus rises ending in circling back, Homura suggests they walk this time. However, they end up walking so long, they end up on, like, this massive, like, mound of a bridge. It is it's a hill of a bridge. Kyoko wonders if they're in an illusion that keeps them from leaving Mitakihara City, with Homura stopping Kyoko's transformation to say that nothing might exist outside Mitakihara City. Homura asks Kyoko to keep this secret from the others while she investigates something, looking out to people with fake versions of Homura and Kyoko's head on. What? As long as they pretend to not know what's going on, they'll be safe from whoever did this to them. Kyoko goes to leave, but not before saying that Homura's tough girl act fits her really well, and is the only side of her that feels right. And she does, like, toss, like, a candy at Homura as well. Homura realizes she might be the only one that remembers having seen the kind of trap they're in before taking off her glasses and letting down her hair. Recounting about witches, Homura says they spread despair and cause disasters, and that they come from magical girls themselves. Homura's way of fighting this despair was to repeat time over and over, which allowed Madoka to be the one to break the cycle of hope and despair. In reality, everyone forgot what happened by force of this witch, and it's trying to give them false memories. At Mami's place, Homura and Madoka enjoy some tea while Bebe eats her mascarpone cheese. Bebe spills her tea, with Mami warning them to mind her manners. Warning her. Otherwise, they'll turn into cheese, making Bebe freak out. Madoka mentions how Bebe and Mami are really good friends, and Mami explains that they met long before she met Madoka and Sayaka. Homura takes the opportunity to ask how Bebe ended up staying with her, playing it off as curiosity. Mami recounts it as her being the first magical girl located in Mitakihara City, and her only support was Bebe. Homura mentions how Mami is stronger and braver than that, and Mami does reveal she did put up a brave front so other magical girls could rely on her to teach them. With 4 other magical girls around her, she doesn't need that brave front anymore. Madoka talks about how the nightmares have been getting stronger recently, and that it's been fun fighting together, which Mami says that it shouldn't be fun. Mami again reflects on the days of being the only magical girl for a moment, before Homura asks for more tea. While Mami is doing that, Homura transforms into a magical girl form, freezing time to interrogate Bebe. But Bebe doesn't know what's going on, which, yes, that is a fair point, she does not, as we'll find out soon enough. Homura drags Bebe along while remembering the old Mami, asking what Bebe's scheme is, when Mami reveals she knew something was up. She tied a ribbon to her leg and all that. Homura reveals everything she has learnt about how Mitakihara City they're in is fake, and that they're being tricked by Bebe. Homura releases her time stop spell and throws Bebe into the air, intending to shoot her, but she gets saved by Mami. With Bebe released, Homura refreezes time and tries to shoot off Mami's ribbon, but it doesn't work, and Mami warns Homura they'll fight if she keeps going after Bebe. And the two do indeed fight, firing bullets at each other that freeze midair until Homura releases her spell, with each bullet ricocheting. Homura chases after Bebe, freezing and unfreezing time again and again, Mami keeping pace to deflect more bullets aimed at Bebe. Mami notes how well they know each other and asks if Homura could take her in a fair fight, with Homura answering she could outlast her. But can she outplay her? And outwit? The two get point blank with each other, firing bullets at each other's head and dodging each shot. It's like, we're doing Matrix level moves here. Homura gets a momentary advantage, only to have to fall down a hole when Mami has that weakness covered. While falling, the two trade shots at each other that never hit, ending up in a standoff surrounded by frozen bullets. Homura unfreezes time again, causing many ricochets to ring out across the city and cause massive damage. Homura, refreezing time, Homura takes out her Walter P5 and aims at her own head to pull a deadly persona move, but not before Mami pulls her ribbon to make Homura miss. Homura uses the opportunity of ribbon slack to put it in the path of the bullet and break it. Aiming her Walter P5 at Mami, Homura can't bring herself to kill Mami, instead shooting a bullet in her leg. Instead of blood, Mami transforms into ribbons and ends up tied, and Homura ends up tied up and questioned by the real Mami. Mami asks why Homura attacked Bebe, and Homura shouts that Bebe is a witch, their enemy, but Mami doesn't remember, thinking that they're enemies as a race. This makes Mami question about finding nightmares recently when a fire extinguisher is thrown and speared through by a sword. Huh. Fire extinguisher ex machina? In the CO2 expulsion, Homura is rescued from her tied up state and Baby reveals her human form, who is Nagisa Momoe, to Mami. Sayaka frees Homura from her ribbon bonds and tells her off for taking on Mami when she's in peak form. Homura explains she wasn't intending on fighting Mami, with Sayaka finishing and revealing she knew Baby used to be a witch, along with everything else. Wait, what? She knows? Sayaka questions why a witch would even bother making a labyrinth big enough to contain Mitakihara City and not lure in victims or harm them, bringing up the sweet witch. With that simple fact in mind, this witch created this labyrinth just to keep things as they are. Sayaka asks who benefits the most from this labyrinth, stopping Homura from freezing time and calling her out for relying on her magic too much. Homura asks back about the possibility that one of them is the witch, and Sayaka offers the idea that Mami is the witch because it's the happiest she's ever been. Sayaka asks about if Homura finds the witch, what will she do to her if she'll vanquish her? Oh, this wig is so hard to keep on. She talks about how they fight. They have to fight. She talks about how they have to fight no one and get to work together. And does this heart have to be destroyed just for being a witch? My sentence did not make any sense there. Homura recalls that Mami said she used to fight wraiths instead of witches, and that Kyoko doesn't understand the concept of labyrinths, or because witches don't exist in this universe. In this universe, the souls of magical girls are taken by the law of the cycle before it becomes a witch, thanks to Madoka's wish in the previous universe. We're getting confusing lore at this point. basically, Madoka, at the end of the original series, Madoka made a wish that basically transformed, like, it basically changed the universe into the one that our characters are currently in, yet somehow there's a real Madoka, and, like, a real Madoka is being present. It shouldn't be happening because of the ending of the original show. Sayaka isn't surprised that Homura remembers everything, but Homura says that there are 3 people in this world that shouldn't exist, and that are Sayaka, Bebe, and the witch. Sayaka then reveals that she is a witch, and throws a cape to vanish before Homura's eyes, even through the time stop spell. From a distance, Sayaka asks again if Homura would be okay with destroying this version of Mitakihara City. Homura takes some time to think through her situation, while the movie takes the time to ask if we're enjoying it. Like, literally, like, are we enjoying the movie right in the middle of the movie? It's like, okay, we're getting a little bit of meta-ness from this movie. She recalls how Kyoko told her about helping Mami guard the city, that Mami is enjoying this Mitakihara city, and Sayaka saying the place isn't that bad. Whoever did this is forsaking their duty to battle the race, and Homura says that such weakness is unforgivable, that magical girls must continue to fight as the price for their miracles. Madoka finds Homura floating around on her boat and jumps down to her, saying that she was looking for her for Mami's sake. She tells Homura off for going off on her own and asks what's wrong, and Homura words it in the way of a dream that she's the only one to remember Madoka in the world to protect her. Over time, and with no one to relate to, Homura wonders if those memories were made up by herself, making her doubt herself. Homura comforts her. Oh no, Madoka comforts her, saying she'd never go to a place like that on her own, because she wouldn't want Homura to cry. On hearing those words from Madoka, Homura realizes she should have stopped Madoka from making her wish again. Homura tells Madoka that she does have the courage to make the hard choices as the flowers die around them, grow as dandelions, and float away. The braid Madoka did comes undone all by itself, as Homura states that Madoka herself could be an illusion, but she senses that it's the real Madoka she's talking to, which makes her happy. It's like, again, the reveal is confusing. Homura leaves Madoka, saying she has something else she needs to do, calling Kyoko, who is currently listening to the anime opening at an arcade. She asks if Kyoko remembers the witches, which she doesn't, and that's good for Homura. Homura follows up by asking about Madoka, which Kyoko does before realizing that Homura's line of questioning means she shouldn't. Kyoko asks if she's being serious, and Homura explains that she just figured out who the witch is. Herself. She is the witch. Leaving her soul gem behind, using the 100-meter rule to confirm if this is the truth, the bus she's on catches fire, the same as the airships all over Mitakihara City. Yeah, like, there's been airships all over this city, because it's not real. Random objects start popping up throughout Mitakihara City, and since she didn't fade, Homura confirms that she is the witch. Destroying the fake soul gem reveals that under the facade of Mitakihara City are the beings that exist in a witch's domain, and red spider lilies, the flower of never meeting again, lost memories, and abandonment. It also does mean death. Like, it's a symbol of death as well. But I'm going off what I can find on Wiki for that. Kyubi arrives and talks to Homura about how she didn't want to know the truth, but couldn't bear not knowing. Homura realizes that Kyubi was the one behind everything, with Kyubi bringing up the questions of where her body and soul are. Kyubi shows Homura her location outside the false Mitakihara City, her soul gem being contained in an isolation field, all as an experiment. They state the creation of the false Mitakihara City is similar to the power of witches, even though they don't exist. Since Homura's soul gem is preserved by the isolation field and is still intact, her witch power grew without Homura being one, surprising the incubators by recreating Mitakihara City. Homura points out one flaw with Kyubi's theory, that it should be impossible for others to wander into the labyrinth if it's isolated. Kyubi explains that they made an adjustment, that the isolation's field force only works in one direction, and that Homura herself invited those close to her inside. For the law of the cycle to reach Homura, it had to bring back Madoka, which would allow the incubators to investigate the karmic force that makes magical girls vanish. Kyubi reveals there are multiple characters within the labyrinth that don't exist in reality, including one that isn't recorded in any memories. Madoka, who is the law of the cycle. So basically at this point we're getting the big reveal that, yeah, this whole thing was designed by the incubators to try and capture Madoka again. Well, like, try and bring Madoka back and capture her, basically. And so, like, they're like the ultimate, like, evil scientists that I would inspire to, really. They're disappointed that Madoka hasn't displayed any signs of unusual power, since the memory rewriting by Homura affected her as well, meaning she forgot she came to save Homura, her true identity and power. With the two forgetting their powers, the incubators were forced to just watch everything and wait until Homura destabilized everything. Kyubi requests Homura to reach out for Madoka's help, as it will trigger Madoka's memory, but Homura asks what their true objective is and why. Homura knows that Kyubi wants to use her to their advantage, using her witch powers to attack them. If the incubators can observe the law of the cycle, they can manipulate it to their advantage and control it to collect vast amounts of energy in one go by turning magical girls into witches. They're hell-bent on this battle for no reason. Kyubi says that magical girls should fulfill their full purpose by transforming into witches, and questions why Homura is so angry since it doesn't involve her anymore. But really it does. Homura starts a curse, not wanting to be purified, telling Kyubi she became a magical girl just to save Madoka, willing to become a witch to protect Madoka's secret. She's certain the labyrinth will become her grave, and that Mami and Kyoko are here too, and would be able to stop her. Kyubi warns Homura that she'll be a witch trapped inside a soul gem if she dies within the isolation field, and will be destroyed without being found by the law of the cycle. Suddenly, just randomly, Homura is sitting next to Madoka, who stands up in a chair and T-poses before falling sideways into the ground, leaving a pink splatter. What? What's the point of this scene? I don't know. Homura is shocked by the death of Madoka when she splatters herself, becoming a full witch, massive in size. And I'm not joking when I say she splatters herself. Literally, a giant version of her goes splat on her. With the truth exposed to the girls, Homura's witch, Homolili, is led towards a guillotine as massive hands swing around trying to stop her. They recognize her as a witch, and Kyubi reveals they can talk, which surprises Kyoko. Kyubi tells Madoka she has the power to save Homura, but Sayaka tells her to ignore them. Bebe transforms into a magical girl form, while Sayaka stabs herself in the heart to summon her Persona witch. I was joking about Persona before, and then this happens. I'm like, oh my goodness, we actually just got Persona'd. But yeah, Octavia. Kyubi is surprised that, and Sayaka states that since the world isn't commanded by despair and now by the law of the cycle, which she is a part of, Sayaka is able to use a witch to fight against Homolili. Nagisa explains that 3 people were sent in as redundancies in case someone was taken out before eating some of Homolili's minions and firing at the roof of the barrier. Kyubi says that is a lot of work for Homura, but she has worked hard enough for a reward or free. Mami and Madoka work together for Madoka to break the roof some more with an arrow shot. She's just like completely ignoring Homura's desire to die. Sayaka tells Homura off for trying to take on all the big burdens alone and always gets eaten, only for Kyoko to save her. And Kyoko tells Sayaka about a dream where she had where Sayaka was dead, but since Sayaka is saying that's reality, she asks if this is a dream. Sayaka mentions that when she died, she thought she didn't have any regrets, but she took this mission because she does have a regret, leaving Kyoko behind. Nagisa manages to ruin the touching moment by saying she wants to eat cheese one more time. She's like, you ruined the moment! All 5 girls attack or dodge, each with their own elegance, with Mami using her Terra Finale attack to wipe out minions. Octavia stabs into the roof of the barrier, with Madoka delivering the final blow to break through it fully, exposing the isolation field. Homura relives the time Madoka died, aiming her gun at Homolili before Madoka reaches out to Homolili/Homura, taking her hand. Homura cries about being so weak and comes back to her human senses so they can work together to destroy the isolation field and every Kyubi in existence. Everyone that got lured into the barrier is returned safely to the real wasteland world. Yes, the world as they know it is actually fully destroyed. It's a full-on wasteland. From above, Ultimate Madoka descends. Her one scene in this entire movie. Everyone, uh, I'm interrupting the podcast right now because I have to show off the figurine that I got. I forgot to bring this out during the podcast episode, but so what this figurine is Ultimate Madoka. She only appears in the one scene, but I actually paid like $60 for this, and I forgot to bring this out. I am so sorry. So I'm interrupting the episode here, or the podcast, for this moment to show off the character. And like, damn it, that always happens. But like, she has like the two wings on her back. I'm just sort of having to hold it now. Anyway, I'll let you get back to the podcast episode. Bye. Remembering she came for Homura's soul gem, with Sayaka and Nagisa joining her in a carriage. When Ultimate Madoka reaches for Homura's soul gem, Homura grabs her hands, allowing her soul gem to go darker than a curse. The power unleashed fractures her soul gem and the world around them, separating Madoka from her ultimate form and engulfing the entire universe. Destroying her old soul gem, the universe forms into a new soul gem for Homura. Kyuubi realizes that a new principle has been placed upon the universe. But for Homura, it's the second time she's actually seen the space, the first time being the ending of the original show. Homura remembers everything, seeing it as proof of her feeling for Madoka, and that it wasn't curses soiling her soul gem, but love. Kyuubi wonders what Homura is becoming if not a witch, and since she pulled Madoka from her god power, Homura says she's a demon. They say that human emotions are too uncontrollable to use as a power source, but Homura has a purpose for Kyuubi to take on all the curses upon the world. With the world remade, Homura sits at a coffee table, pushing a teacup and saucer off the table to break it, which only Mummy hears. Meanwhile, Kyoko is feeding a flock of witch birds and tosses another apple down to a bunch of minions, only for a word splash to ring out, catching Kyoko's attention. The only one to really see Homura is Sayaka. He calls her out for breaking off a part of the law of the cycle. Homura says she only took the records of who Madoka was before she ceased to exist. But the process of doing so pulled Sayaka and Nagisa into this world. Homura explains that she has become a being known as evil, the one who disrupts providence and is an agitator for the world. Homura asks if Homura plans to destroy this universe, and she might, after the wraiths are destroyed. Homura proves her power by being able to alter Sayaka's memories, while Nagisa dances around happily and Homura tells her to try living a normal life. Homura disappears and Hitomi and Kyosuke say hello to Sayaka, forcing her to pretend like nothing is wrong. At school, the roles of Madoka and Homura are reversed, this time having Madoka being the transfer student, with the difference of her hair ribbons being yellow. Madoka explains that her mum was assigned to work overseas, which lasted 3 years, and she only came back to Mitakihara City last week. After class, some of her classmates ask how schools in America were, thinking she must be fluent in English, and calling her cute. Homura tells them to not bombard Madoka with questions before introducing herself to Madoka, telling Madoka to follow her to show her around the school. While showing her the school, Homura asks Madoka how it feels to be back after so long, with Madoka saying it feels unfamiliar but somehow different. Madoka changes her answer to say nothing in the world has changed, but the thing that has changed is her. She begins changing back into her ultimate form to Homura's shock, but stops when Homura hugs her and asks if she treasures this world. If stability and order is more important than desire. Homura figures that she and Madoka will become enemies someday, returning Madoka's red ribbon back to her. And like saying that she looks better with the red. Time flies by while moments around the main girls also slow down as Ultimate Madoka's form and rock floats over the city. At some point in the future, Homura sits on a chair on a cliff, with the moon above split in half when Kyubi shows up. And Homura decides to fall off the cliff after a little dance. She just does like a full-on like trustful pose, everything into empty space. Honestly, I thought this would take longer. I got through 8 pages in under an hour. I honestly thought this would be longer. Because in reality, this movie is 2 hours long. This is a 2-hour long movie that I just explained to you in like just under like around 15 minutes. That is a lot. There's apparently going to be another movie coming out in August, which I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. I did not plan for that, but apparently it's coming out in August. So I'm looking forward to that when it comes out, and I definitely will be covering that movie. I don't know if I'll be able to cover it. Like, what I might end up doing is covering it after I finish Denmachi when I get to it. But if it's anything compared to this one, it's going to be just as crazy. I've got to end this here. For YouTube, links will be in the description to both the main channel and, well, to the channels and to Twitch for you guys to go check out. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. A ding. A ding. I'm Psycrafter out.